Turn number 1, late apex, go on the throttle as soon as possible, use all the available track. Turn number 2, brake in the compression zone, trail brake and go on throttle as soon as possible, use all the available track. Turn number 3, easy flat out. For turn number 4 you want to stay in third gear, hug the right side of the corner and the same, go on the throttle as soon as possible. This is a very fast track. Coming up with the big straight leading to the chicane. Brake after 100 mark board. Compromise your entry here, carry as much speed as you can, go as much as you can to the left side, go on the right and open up the corner. And now it's a flat out. Next corner a bit tricky, braking point a bit tricky, but it's a double apex. First one, second one, go on the throttle, use all the available track. You see we could have gone a bit to the left and it should have been okay. Here avoid the curb, use the white line, be patient on the throttle, rotate the car with the throttle, and that's a lap of Oulton Park. Turn number 1 is a very fast right-hander. Usually a good braking point that I use is this sign on the left side with jordanbikes.com. As soon as I stop to see it, I apply the brakes, and there are two things that you want to consider for this corner. The first thing is that you want to take a late apex, because the runoff on the left side it's not so wide, so you will go into the grass. And the second thing is that you want to apply the throttle as soon as possible. So we just want to tap the brakes to transfer the weight to the front tires to give us a bit more capability to turn and steer the car, and you want to go on the throttle as soon as possible. So here if we go with slow-mo, you see we don't apply so much of the brakes and we want to take it as late as possible, so we delay it as much as we can. We're already full on throttle and we use the space on the left side. So if we look at it from a different angle, for example this one in full speed, this is how it should look like. Turn number 2, it's also very similar. It's a left-hander and the reference point for braking is this compression zone here. See, when the road starts to go down, you can apply the brakes. As soon as it goes down, you apply the brakes. It's almost the same as the previous corner. You want to go even earlier on throttle here because it's a very long straight after this corner. So you want to trail brake a bit into the corner and slam the throttle. This is what you should think about this corner. Slam the throttle as soon as possible. So what we do here is we brake a bit, we take a late apex, we're right on the throttle and we use all the available track. Turn 3 and turn 3 is actually flat. The only thing that you should consider here is don't use this curb. This curb will unsettle the car or will scrub up speed, so I recommend to avoid it unless you're overtaking someone and you need the space. Also on cold tires, this is not actually flat. You should lift a bit and should be in 5th gear in the first lap, for example. And also here on the first lap you should use 3rd gear. So here we use 4th because the tires are already in the optimal temperature range. Excuse the police, by the way. And if you're on cold tires, you're on lap 1, 4th won't be enough, so you have to use 3rd here. It will give you more braking and also more rotation. Moving on to the next corner, so this is flat. This one, good braking point is these tires on the left side. As soon as you don't see them anymore, you apply the brakes. See? Here, when they disappear, you apply the brakes, and what you want here is to brake in a straight line. You're going from 6th gear to 3rd. I found that third is much more reliable than second. Second is a bit faster. You can gain, I think, 1/10 in second gear and brake a bit late, but third is more consistent. And what you want is to hug this corner and go on the throttle as soon as possible. So again, this is a big straight ahead, so it's very important to maximize the time that you're on the throttle. With second gear it's a bit trickier because you can't just go from 0 to 100% throttle. You have to modulate because you will have wheel spin. But in third gear it's pretty straightforward. You just go it, you just press it and it works. Here in this case I could have used more track if we look at it from this perspective. You see, so we hug the corner, we go on the throttle, but here you can use a bit more. You can use a bit more curb. I could have used more if I just went to the throttle a bit earlier, something like here. So this lap could have been improved. And now it's a big straight that leads to the chicane. And here it's an interesting part because it switches the flow of the track. Now we have a slow corner, a slow complex of corners, and here let me change the camera to the cockpit. The braking point is after the 100 board. So you go here, and I would say something between 150, but not in the middle. It's more close to 100 than it is to 50. You want to go here on the brakes really hard. We pick something like 75%. And the thing about this corner is that you could approach it in two ways. Firstly, I use fifth gear here, even though I could have gone into the sixth, but I found that it's harder to stop the car in sixth gear than it is in fifth. So I stay in fifth, I use all the available track, and the thing that you want here is this corner. So these corners does not matter. The main objective is to get this corner right here with the best line possible. In order to do that, you could compromise your first corner. So here, if you brake a bit later, you can take a non-ideal line. You can just carry more speed around the corner, because even though you're not ideally placed, there's just not enough straight for you to lose time. So what you want here is to go as fast as you can into this corner and to have a decent exit for the next one. The next one you can use a lot of curb. So if we go with this camera, you see, we try to cut as much as possible, go on the right side and then quickly on the left, and cut as much as you can without invalidating. Now we want to go on the left side to open up the right hander. This is the corner that we actually want to take in the best way possible. So here we use all the available track. We just go to the limit, to the white line, and then start to turn to the right side. Regarding the gears, just a second, I use second for all this part. So when we downshift into second, just let the car roll, apply a bit of throttle, and here I just don't go to third immediately because I need some rotation to allow me to take the corner better from this point. So I rev it a bit and then we go to third. We use all the available track on the left, and this is one of the most difficult corners in my opinion, because it's harder to take a good braking reference point. For me, the reference point is this shape of the road. You see, it goes a bit left and then back again right. So when the road starts again to straighten up and goes right, this is when I start to apply brakes. And this is something like a double apex corner. The first apex is here with this curb, but you don't want to actually touch it, because if you touch it, it will mess up the next line. You want to touch the second one instead. And this is the line that you should take. So it's a bit tricky to get this braking point right. Later, when the car starts to warm up properly, you could brake a bit late. So that's that. And then try to straight up the car and go for the last corner. The first, I used 2 reference points for braking here. So the first one is this sign. I know after this sign, I just go 1 car width or 2 car widths and I brake. But the next one that I used later during the race is this compression zone that follows. You see, it's subtle, but the road changes. And when I feel this change in the wheel, I start to apply brake pressure. It's pretty difficult to do it right, because the thing about this corner is that you want to brake on a straight line. If you trail brake too much here, you will lose so much time. You want to brake as much as possible on a straight line and just coast into the corner. And also you want to avoid this curb. You want to touch the white line, but you don't want to touch the curb. And also you need to be patient with the throttle here. I've spun so many times. God, this corner is so tricky. So be patient, go in third, and that's the lap. And it's let's see, 123.7.